Welcome to Total FIFA Career Mode. This is a instructional video on the custom formation that we've been using, a 3-4-2-1 formation. And if you've watched our Werder Bremen career, you know how successful this formation has been for us. It's a custom formation that we adjusted from the default 3-4-2-1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain how we built it, and then the key features of the formation, and how it aligns on both attack and defense, and then really what you need to be successful with this formation, the personnel that you need, because this may not work for every team, but depending on who you have and the personnel you have, this can be a really dynamic formation. Welcome and thank you. If you don't follow us already, hit that subscribe button and check out our website, totalfifacareermode.com. We're looking at a 3-4-2-1, and this is a formation that exists in the game, the default formation, as you see on there, but it's an extremely offensively skewed formation. You see you've got the three center backs, and then you've got no defensive midfielders. Everybody's pushed up front. It's like an ultra uber attack formation, which has its place, but it's not something you can use all the time. What I wanted to do was take that same shape. I do like this shape. I like the three at the back, but I wanted to make it something that could be used on a more consistent formation. So I like having the three center backs instead of two, and then in this formation I've got two holding midfielders. I got two CDMs. And that's really helped on defense without sacrificing the offense, and I'll show you how we get that done. So the key features of this formation is it creates a lot of spacing and passing lanes, and it really creates the angles that you need to attack on offense without having to overexpose, which is key. Now, how do we build this formation? Well, we're going to start with that default 3-4-2-1 that's already in the game, but then we're going to make a lot of adjustments to it to build it to where we need it to be. So first things first, you're going to have to spread out the center backs, because if you don't, it won't let you bring the center midfielders back to a defensive midfield position. So we got to spread those out, and then you can bring back the center mids to defensive mids, and you can see it's a little bit tricky, and you do have to not only spread out the center backs but also slide them back a little bit, but that's okay. You'd rather have the width. You've only got three on the back there, and the toughest thing to defend in FIFA is the crosses, so it's okay to have a little extra depth on that backside, but you want to make sure they're the right center back and not a right back, and that gets into the instructions that we have. So then you can slide these midfielders back to defensive midfielders, and that gives you your back five. Now there's no width on this, but you've got your back five that's solidified in front, and that's key to kind of holding and protecting the front of the net. Now you're going to slide these left and right mids back into a much more defensive position. They're back much further, so that they can be a little bit more neutral, and then you slide what is the left forward and right forward into left and right attacking mid positions. And now you've built a much more balanced formation with the same kind of shape as we had before, but it's just a much more neutral formation instead of being so offensively focused as we had before. Now for the tactics, I always go pressure on heavy touch. The possession after loss and the constant pressure just kills your stamina, and it's impossible. No matter how much stamina your guys have, it's impossible to keep up with. So I go pressure on heavy touch, which still keeps your guys with some attacking nature to them, but it doesn't kill your stamina nearly as much. The width on defense, I like to get a little wide because my shape is not necessarily all that wide, so this helps. And the depth really can be changed depending on where you are in the game. Now for the instructions, this is where it's key. That center back, you've got a lot of options. Do you want him to join the attack, or do you want him to stay back on defense? And that has a lot to do with your personnel and where you are in the game. With these attacking midfielders, I like to have one stay up on the attack and then one come back on defense. And then with the defensive midfielders, one is balanced and then one joins the attack. If you have two guys join the attack, you're leaving yourself exposed. And if you have both of your attacking midfielders come back on defense, you are, you don't have enough left for any counter-attacking options. Now, when you get on the wing here, it's key that you use get in behind. Get in behind is key for these guys because you want them to run through the attack. The most important element of this formation is these wing players, and they're listed as left middle and right middle, but they're part wing back, they're part left wing, right wing offensive players. You need some really versatile guys here, and they're the key players in this formation, is these guys on the outside, the left and right middle. So it's these wing guys getting deep and being able to initiate the offensive attack, but also be back on defense. So they're the key players here. And then the whole thing is predicated on those guys getting deep and then looking back towards the middle for cutting strikers and our attacking midfielders to the middle of the box for nice, easy goals. And that's really what this entire formation is trying to set up here, is the wings getting wide and getting deep on the defense, getting behind the defense with some speed, and I'll explain how we do that in a second. And then not trying to score themselves, but looking back towards the middle and having lots of options, and that's where you can convert these goals relatively easy in FIFA 20 particularly. So the beauty of this formation is in its versatility and in your ability to really adjust it based on your personnel, but also how it differs from offense and defense. It's going to change shapes throughout the entire game based on whether you have the ball or not. So when you're on the attack, this formation is going to take the shape of either a 3-3-1-3 or a 3-3-2-2, and that's really dictated by whether or not you have your middle center back on that back line adjusted to join the attack or not. And that really is dictated by your personnel, but also the situation that you're in and the scenario of the game and whether or not you need some extra offense or not. So you have that adjustment even within the same formation just based on the instructions, and so that's really key. But then when you pull back on defense, you're looking at a 1-1-3-5. And so it is a strong defensive formation when you don't have the ball. And I'll kind of explain and demonstrate how we get there so that you can see it. The most important part of this formation is these wing middle players. And they need to have two key, and this is the absolute most important part of this formation, is that these players out on the outside have two key characteristics that you cannot do without. One is they have to have plus pace. They have to be fast. They've got to be above average to well above average in speed. And they've got to be able to get back and forth quickly. And they've got to be able to beat defenders, but also beat or catch up with really, really fast offensive players. And so they really have to have speed. You cannot have somebody with even average speed on the outside. And then of course they have to have stamina, because their work rate and their workload is very high. And so they're involved in the offense, but they're key on the defense. And so these two players on the outside are really the key elements to this entire formation. And you've got to have guys that are fast and have a lot of stamina, because they're going to get worn out. And also when you're building a team, it's good to have some depth in these positions. The next key feature is you need athletic center backs. They've got to be good with the ball at their feet. They've got to be able to pass, because you're going to play it back to them a decent amount of time. And you've got these three guys isolated in the back at times, so they've got to be good with the ball at their feet. If they're kind of statues and they're really just those big hulking defenders, it's not going to work. I like defenders with size, but they've got to have mobility and speed as well, or else it's just not going to work. And then the last key element is you've got to have at least one, but preferably two, box-to-box midfielders who could theoretically play in that attacking mid position, but also in that defensive holding midfield position, because you're going to have at least one of those guys that's doing both. He's holding when you're on defense, but he's also joining the attack. And then you're going to have, ideally, if you have two, you're going to have an attacking midfielder who's very much a part of the attack, but comes back on defense. So, and those guys really have to have very good stamina as well. So keep an eye on those stamina ratings, because those are key for both the outside guys and those midfielders. What I like most about this formation is its versatility. But that only works if you have versatile players, and that's really a key element of building this formation. You've got to have guys who can play multiple positions. Stamina is an issue, I will warn you of that. And you've got to have some speed on the outside. So those are really some key elements here in this formation. But if you've got the roster, and if you've got the team for this, it can be truly potent. And hopefully you've seen that in my career, and I encourage you to give it a shot in yours. Thanks as always for watching. I hope this has been informative and it's helped. Again, if you don't already, hit that subscribe button for me. Follow me on Twitter at TotalFIFACM, on Instagram at TotalFIFACareerMode, and on our website at TotalFIFACareerMode.com, as we try to do more videos like this outside of our normal careers. And if you don't already, check out our Werder Bremen career, where we've used this formation predominantly and had a lot of success. As always, thanks for joining. This is Total FIFA Career Mode.